2 selectmen. Right now we've got 3 selectmen filling 2 selectmen positions because of scheduling. Keith isn't usually good at night. Jim isn't usually good during the day, so they're kind of balancing an alternate. We're not sure which one. Myself and an employee, so a department head, PJ Lovely, and an employee below the level of supervisor, and that one is to be determined.
So the selectmen have 3 seats, or they have 2 seats and an alternate?
2 seats and an alternate without defining which selectman is the alternate.
Okay.
But on a voting night, there will only be 2 votes.
And you, Melanie, are
Mallory.
Mallory. Mallory.
Yep, I'm with the chamber.
Great.
Paul,
Great.
is there Wi-Fi here that we can jump on?
There is Wi-Fi here.
They all say private or password.
Yeah.
I can go a little lower.
Hold on.
+1.
Well, at some point, perhaps we should set up a guest.
Oh, wait. You might already have guests. Hold on.
Tried earlier and I couldn't find anyone.
Your phone should do. Oh, you got the new phone.
There is guests. I'm on it.
Oh, okay.
Who's the guest?
Yeah, you just have to scroll down further in the options of choices.
You may be on the district court.
I could be jumping on the court.
They may sue us over that.
Okay, so that is the makeup of the committee. The committee's work is twofold. So the first phase is reviewing the documents that I sent out. For anybody who didn't print them, there are hard copies over here on the bench. And that would be the community profile, the visioning information, the job description, and the advertisement. Our goal for the first section is to review those things, see what we need to update or change, and then have that ready for the board. The board has changed their meetings from the first and third Mondays of August to the second and fourth Mondays, and then they're skipping Labor Day.
Just for August.
Just for August. So our target date is August 28th for reporting out to the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
Just about a month. What we would be giving to the board would be essentially the advertisement. They will set the salary rates, but other than that, if there's anything in there we want to change. And then, like I say, updating the community profile, any updates potential to the job description or to the visioning information.
So are we going to have all those ready for the 28th?
Hopefully,
Okay.
yes. That would be the goal.
Yeah.
Then what will happen is the advertisement, once approved by the Board of Selectmen, hopefully on the 28th, will then be sent out. The plan is to go local, to local newspapers, regional, Union Leader, Boston Globe, the managers listserv in the state of New Hampshire, New Hampshire Municipal Association, advertisements classifieds. If we can get in, the Vermont League of Cities job advertisements, classifieds. Going to the New Hampshire Municipal Association, the Municipal Managers Association will also get us into the New England Managers Association. And then looking at ICMA, International Conference of Mayors Association, and also potentially the National League of Cities. We're not members, so I'm not sure what we'll be able to do there or not do there. But so those are the proposed advertising spots to get both a local, regional, and national exposure. Once that advertisement's out, we've got a few days off. But then once resumes start coming in, we will meet or electronically produce to the committee, and then we say, we want to talk to this person, we don't think we want to talk to this person. We'll narrow that down, I imagine, to a dozen or so. Interview them either in person or via Zoom, depending on where they're located, with the ultimate goal of recommending to the Board of Selectmen 3 to 5 finalists, which then they will take over and interview, potentially bring to town commonly it's to give them a tour of town, show them what's going on for projects, the highlights of the town, take them to dinner, get to meet them socially, kind of thing. With the ultimate goal of hiring somebody who might be able to start in sometime in November. And that is an aggressive and accelerated plan because I'm serving as interim and would rather not. So that's the rough timeline of everything. It's condensed, but it's not that condensed, I think. And I think we have a good basis based on the things that we have done. I know Christy had mentioned and Lisa had mentioned that there's an updated community profile when they went
I'm
out.
trying to get it's slow.
Yeah, the community profile is woefully inadequate. I think we also need to get the one from the school district.
That's in my
That's
hand.
the one.
There you go.
So I'm trying to be able to share it with you, but it's not. It's like slow rolling wheel, like not fast. So I can
Okay.
hotspot it and do it that way if you want me to screen share. The cord doesn't work. I'm joking.
That will help.
Will we be posting any of this job in any like traditional job boards like Indeed or Career Finder or Career Builder?
That's something we can talk about. It's never been done before. It probably wouldn't hurt to do Indeed. I mean, certainly that's the most common.
Like the largest
Yeah.
job board.
Yeah. And we have been posting police chief and public works and some of those.
Oh, good. Yeah.
So I think probably Indeed will be
Good.
on the list.
Yeah.
No hope for that one.
I can't read.
No hope.
I'm an English teacher. I can read a lot, Paul. You can't read that. R-E.
Yeah, say it over the phone. So.
No?
Yeah. It's a possibility, certainly.
Yeah.
It means we're getting somebody who's going to monitor those sites, because most of that's electronic.
Right. Yeah, it is entirely electronic.
Yeah.
And we have Joanne does that. Like I say, we've got public works out there. We've had police chief out there. So we
Okay.
have used Indeed for some of
So you already have
the
them.
higher administrative jobs.
There are currently 5 town manager positions available in New Hampshire. We would be number 6.
And there are at least 3 in Vermont, and I know of 2 in Maine. So it's a competitive market.
NH.
It doesn't seem like a lot considering the total number of towns we're talking.
True,
Question mark, man.
true, but
Does LinkedIn similar to Indeed, or is it
No.
something
No.
separate?
It's like a Facebook for professionals.
Is it?
Yeah. There might be people on LinkedIn who might ask,
Yeah.
who might be in LinkedIn and might ask, but
My son works for a company called Softworld. He's a headhunter. And matter of fact, he asked me if we might want to use their services, and I told him it's probably too expensive for us. But,
my son-in-law works for a recruiting agency as well.
really,
Yeah, but I don't think they do municipal. I think they do
Yes.
healthcare, technology.
they have a division. I guess he worked in this division for a while that do municipal.
Yeah.
Right now, he's doing engineering or something. But
Yeah. Great.
This isn't going to work for me, Paul. If I can, I made, so I printed out what Newport High School uses for their profile, and then also, not long ago, we were searching for a superintendent, and so it was one of 12 people on a committee for that. We put in 51 hours, we picked the person, and then the group that facilitated it hadn't vetted the candidates, and so the candidate that we narrowed it down to was not able to be certified in the state of New Hampshire. So it was a giant waste of 52 hours. But maybe not.
Nice,
Because
good
maybe we
paperwork.
can use this. So if we could copy them for people, this
That'd be
is
great.
their profile and that's the job. We might want to look at both of those.
Yeah.
This is not what we need to.
And does the chamber have a profile?
I'm aware of. Does the chamber have a profile?
I don't know that we do.
Okay.
I don't know that we
I'm
did.
just thinking if you did, we can meld it in.
Yeah.
You know, you might have some other thing on there that we wouldn't think of, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Right,
they
yeah.
have it about the town, I think, but not a true profile.
Yeah.
The other big key to this is we are subject to the right to know law. We will be posting meetings, we will be keeping minutes of meetings. When we get to interviews, we will be going in a non-public session,
Right.
but we will need to start the meeting in public and then invite first name or whatever. So that is there, all of our records are public and will be posted online.
So on the 28th, what we're trying to do is present what
The
we want to go
paperwork.
out. Okay.
Correct.
Advertisement profile and job description. Who's going to take the minutes? Are we getting a staffer or is one of us doing it?
Paul is going
Let me ask the question again. Okay.
to, you worried about the deciphering?
Well, he'll have to
Yeah, it's
decipher and, yeah. Yeah.
The original I left there.
Yes.
Paul, did you make enough for the committee?
I did.
I wonder if they've done a new one.
Oh,
Or we can just take stuff from here, because this talks about plastic and COVID, and thank God we're not doing that.
Yeah, sure.
But, anyway, yeah. And then latest report from the Department of Education is that the scores have gone up since 22 versus 21, so that's good. I know. Yeah, of course it was.
And it wasn't that we weren't in school.
No.
It was really from March to June.
Yeah.
It's just their lack of Talk about hot off the presses.
Okay. So we can review these at another time. We can look at what we already got.
Kind of the intent of that is just so that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. I
And
think
just pick and choose,
we
yeah.
did a really good job as a committee of that, of describing, 2 hours from Boston and the things that are appealing about our community.
And we can now highlight that we are the Sugar River region, which we were not
right.
at the last time. And that brings a whole other cachet to the whole conversation. Paul, you're taking the minutes.
I am.
So who's producing the documents? Joanne?
Probably combination of Joanne and I.
Well, I'm thinking that Christie could send these, if she has them
Yeah,
electronically,
if we
to
could get them.
Joanne.
Yeah.
Then she'd have a base to extract information from.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other three came about back when we hired Shane, which was the last time we had a true committee and a process. So they are 2015 vintage.
That's
A perfect segue.
But they-
perfect segue for a question I have for you. It's my understanding that there was a committee, and the committee picked a candidate, and in the end, the BOS picked who they wanted, and it was not the candidate.
In 2000,
So Shane wasn't who the committee picked. Shane was who the board picked.
so the board put forth 3 finalists. And the committee put forth 3 finalists.
4.
Was it 4?
It was 4.
Okay, 4 finalists. They came, we did the tours, we did the dinner at courthouse, and the board did ultimately select Shane.
So,
He was one of the finalists?
He was one of the 4 finalists, yes.
That wasn't the top of the committee's selection, but that's okay. But I just want to, having done 52 hours for the 2 superintendent search that went to waste, that's where I'm coming from. Like,
Yeah.
I love Newport, and I am happy to do this. Just want to make sure we're doing it.
I don't remember if they came in ranked at that point in time. I think it was just 3 finalists. I might be wrong. That was all a blur.
Folks have
I don't
reached,
remember it being.
folks have reached out knowing that I'm on the committee, just so you know, this is
Okay.
what happened. So the way it was presented to me was that that was not their top candidate. It was their fourth candidate of the four put forth.
Okay.
Just that way.
Yeah, and, you know, shoulda, coulda, woulda, it's possible that one of the top ones said,
No.
maybe not after they had their introduction and what the options were, so.
Right.
It is a final decision of the Board of Selectmen. And I believe the committee at that time interviewed 12
We did.
candidates and then sent 4 of them forward.
12 of 53, I think. Either 47 or 53.
There were a lot of them,
There
that's
were.
for sure. Okay. So how do you want to go about this paperwork that we got?
Well, before that, I would be interested in just talking scheduling.
Sure.
When meetings are good for people or not good for people. My biggest problem is I am away next week.
As
Most
mostly
of
am I too, so,
Okay?
except for one day.
2% battery.
Perfect.
We're going dark.
Oh, you know what? I'll think of it. I have a portable charger. I'll stick it in next time. Just
I
in
usually
case.
have them. But it wasn't in my right.
Okay, so we are looking at the week of the 7th through the 13th, and you are away, Paul.
I am away. Correct.
So now we're looking at the week of the 14th.
Correct. Monday night is the Board of Selectmen's meeting, so this room will not be available.
Monday night is the selectmen?
Yes. Monday, the second and fourth Mondays.
Oh, 2nd and 4th, okay.
For this month.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
Let me just see.
I'm open on all 3 of those, not open on Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm open on all those, the 22nd, 23rd, 24th.
No, 15, 16, 17.
When does planning board meet?
That's what I'm checking right now. So
Yes.
planning will be the 8th. Zoning will be the 17th. Conservation will be the 16th.
Do they meet here?
They meet here, yes.
So 15th it
Wait,
is.
are they televised?
They are.
Okay. So 15th it is then.
15th would be best, if that
Yeah.
works. I think certainly much of individual reviews can be done on your own time and take it on vacation if you'd like. Then we'll just come back and bring ideas on that night. And then probably a night the following week. I don't know if we want to do the Tuesday the following week also.
It's the 22nd.
The 22nd.
Window's getting tighter.
Actually, the 21st, 22nd, anything that week. But that would, I don't know if we want to meet early and then if we have to add a second one later in the week to finalize.
Yeah, that's a
I
good
can
idea.
do either one of those.
We want to do the 21st?
Monday the 21st, Keith, good for you?
Are we doing evenings?
I think so. I mean,
Yeah.
I can meet
All
days,
evenings?
but
Until we get to interviews, probably. I know evenings aren't good for you.
I can't be taking a day or two every week off.
Right, so understood.
I work nights, that's why.
well,
I'm supposed to be
happy-
at work right now.
I'm happy to.
That's why I threw my name in as an alternate, because I may not
Right.
be able to make every meeting.
So 2 things about that. Jim Burrows can never be here before 6:30, and we're lucky to get him at 6:30 if we're doing nights. But he can do an 8 o'clock meeting, because I don't think the shop opens till 10,
8 o'clock in the morning.
if that helps you. I mean, Herb and I are kind of kicking around as all retired people, so, you know, we can force ourselves out.
That particular day, the 21st, I could do 8, but then I'm getting back into school.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Um,
I
You
could
do
do,
one?
I could do 8 o'clock on the 21st.
Okay. And then we can vary it depending on what selectman is coming. If it's somebody else and not you, then we could go back to a night or,
Right.
okay.
And the one on the 15th is a
Do we
6.
want to do 6
30?
or do we want to do an 8 there also?
Oh,
I prefer to do the night one that day.
I would prefer to do the night one that day, but it,
Okay.
Yeah, I'll work with it as much as I can.
okay. So 6 that night is,
6?
yeah?
Go to 6 or 6?
We're gonna do 6:30.
6:30 for Jim, yeah? 6:30 is
6:30?
okay. If you're missing work, you're missing work, right?
Right.
Okay, so 6:30?
Will Joanne send out meeting invites?
Yes.
Yes, and she'll send out a
That'll be
Google
perfect.
Calendar.
Well, you guys are set up for an alternate anyway, so
Yeah.
Jeff North is the alternate, or the other person.
Is
Mhm.
the third selectman, yeah.
So we could, hopefully.
All right, so we got 2 meetings scheduled, and then we can go from there.
Okay.
And be mindful of if you're gonna be here.
Fridays are also wide open for me.
Question, any desire or need to maybe have a meeting later this week, so that you're gonna skip next week completely?
I can do that. A lot of people can.
Go away, you know, you're gonna look at,
I can't, I'm gone from Thursday on. So 2 days from now isn't gonna really improve much, I don't think, but.
okay,
Well, like I say, we can, we've got the 6 documents. We can go through and make amendments ourselves.
Yep.
Actually, if we make them public at our next meeting, we can actually probably share them amongst. Yeah, let's work individually until the 15th, I guess.
Well, if we had a Google Workspace, we could do
Just
that.
put them in Google Docs and share.
Put them in Google Docs.
Yeah. Google, huh?
You can do Canvas, but a lot of people like to do Canvas.
We could do that. I'd have to learn it, but that would be fine.
It's not.
Lisa can show you.
Yeah, it's not hard.
That would be easier
I'm
than.
not the most technologically advanced person, so.
Yeah.
And just the advantage of that is we're all looking at the document, and if you edit something, we can all see the edit,
Yeah,
right? And then it will say you edited it and
And-
recommended this,
right.
and then we don't have to accept all those. Paul would have the power at the end to say what ones we want and don't
I
want.
might just be patient, because that might take me a minute or two to learn it, so.
It's just like doing a regular document and then you just drop it into the drive and
Well,
we
Joanne
all,
would drop it in anyway, and then she'd send it to us in an email,
Then
and
you
you'd be
can
able to
you
open
go
it.
in and
Yeah.
make corrections.
Yeah.
yeah.
You just click the link and then you type.
So she'd have to put these in the drive, but you'll send her these electronically and we can.
And then put these in the drive, and we can open all this too.
Yes, exactly.
We might need to find a drive also. We don't have a.
No, it's like in the cloud.
It's in the
It's
cloud.
in the- You don't,
You don't have a
need an
cloud?
actual drive.
No, I realize that, but don't you need an account?
Yeah, you
A
need a
Google
Google
account.
account. Yeah.
So we'll need to.
I have a Google account.
Okay.
I mean, you have a Google
Do
account.
that Google.
But the town doesn't
The town
have one.
does. The town does not have a Google account.
Do you
Oh.
want the town to have one, or would you like the town to not?
This might be the only thing we ever use it.
Okay. I mean, I just think it's better if it comes from Joanne. but we wanna-
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Okay.
Well, then
We'll-
it's
we
also
will.
not protected.
We will work on
Oh,
this.
God.
It's not
you also
attached.
need to be aware of the 91A public
Okay,
document.
great. That's why it
Right.
should come from Joanne.
Right.
Right.
Herb, I'm happy to
And-
sit with you. We can do it together if you want the first time.
As long as, I mean, as long as it doesn't come through, you got that link into Google, right? It doesn't come through a town email, because for
Correct.
some reason, my computer spits it back, or it won't take.
Just mine.
10 minutes. Oh, Joanne couldn't.
Oh, Joanne, that's right. The .gov doesn't.
So,
Okay.
I'm sure Joanne knows how to do it. Why don't you just talk with her, set up a Google account for this,
Mm-hmm.
manage a search, just call it, and then when we're done, we'll get rid of it. God knows how you ever get rid of a Google account. It seems like it's like the
Facebook.
dinosaurs.
Kind of
It never
like
goes away.
Amazon.
Right, but,
Okay.
or the other place is Microsoft Meeting Space. That's another way to do
Yep.
documents, but, okay.
Now, Keith, you only have your phone, right?
That's it.
Well, get the
Does it-
town to buy you a laptop.
I have a laptop, and I've used it 3 times since September,
Okay,
because I don't have a use for it. I'm not a computer guy.
apparently.
Give me what you say? We're good.
But that may be a limitation for Keith, trying to follow along.
Yeah.
I'm also happy to share with you if you want to bring your laptop and we can try it.
All right. Yeah.
I think you'll find you like it. I'm a pen and paper person usually, but I do like that. All
I
right.
wished I'd paid attention when computers first came out.
Oh, it's all different, so good thing you didn't.
Yeah,
None of it's the same.
yeah, none of it is the
You
same.
have to unlearn it.
All right, well, we'll essentially try to go that way, and if there are blocks, we'll figure it out. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Is there a document that's easy to start with, or do we just want to start with the first one that came through, which was the job description? Or do you want to start with the easy one, which is the ad?
Well, I would think the ad would be last.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, some of it is fairly easy, but
So what does the candidate actually see when they're going to apply for the position? Do they see the ad and then the job description
The
and
last-
the community profile?
the last time they saw the ad,
Okay.
which was then linked to had the job description, the community profile, and the
Do you
vision
remember
all
weekends?
attached,
Okay.
so they could
Really?
see what we were looking for and learn how to
Okay,
answer the interview question.
perfect.
Also, the duties of the town manager are defined by state RSA, so you may want to let people know which one to look at if they want to.
Right. So
37.
Yeah.
37 is the yes. That is it. And so, if you look at the job description, the first page is all statutory and the town setup. I mean, so supervision received, that's statutory. It's Board of Selectmen is their boss.
Has to stay that way.
And that's right, unless we recommended eliminating the town manager.
And you said the general description as well.
The general description, I don't think there's much flexibility in that.
Okay.
Supervision exercised, that's what it is. I mean, it's those departments.
Wait. Let's go back to, you skipped over 2 sections on,
No, I said these we can't change because they're state.
yeah, we can. The one that says supervision received shall serve at the will of the board to the extent subject to removal for cause is not a state statute. We can determine if there's a no cause clause or a cause clause. Now, in the current contract, was there a no cause clause?
There was not.
Okay, so the person was removed for cause.
Person was not removed.
Um,
So,
Resigned,
resigned.
okay. So do we want to change that for our own protection to include a no cause clause?
That would
It
be,
doesn't say without cause, unless I'm reading it wrong.
It says for cause.
The chapter 37.
37 is, you're right,
It just
it's not
says
statutory.
for cause.
That's usually contractual.
Right, this is contractual.
And so the current, the most recent contract was vaguer than mine. My contract was I could only be removed for a felony conviction related to town business for personal gain, which was pretty tight.
Yeah,
The most recent one was not that tight. Shane's, I don't remember. Shane's might have been like mine or in the middle. And so that would be a recommendation. That would be a negotiation between the board and the candidate, the ultimate candidate. But certainly, this committee can make its recommendations for or against that.
okay. It's a two-edged sword. If you're in the position, it's not a great thing to have in your contract. But if you're not in the position and you're the hiring group, it's a good thing to have in your contract when you get to a place where, in the opinion of the management, you need to go. And so for no cause, they can determine you have to pay the severance or whatever it is, but, so we might think about that.
Would that not make it more difficult to hire somebody if they see something like that in there? Because especially if they're going to relocate here?
Not necessarily, because in this contract that the person would sign, there'd be a reciprocal agreement that the person also could get out of the contract themselves for, they don't like it. Well, you're not stuck. I mean, we'd have to put something in there that benefits the person as well, so that they're not stuck to live out their contract.
So basically no cause clause on each side.
Kind of, in a way. But we can think about it.
Yep.
Yeah. That was the only question I had in that section.
Okay, so supervision exercised, like I say, those are the departments.
Do we consider the airport a department?
We do,
Okay.
we do. Actually, cemetery buildings and grounds is now is it now a division of Public Works?
So that would just be absorbed into Public Works because it's defined, when you look at Public Works, it'll be defined in there?
Right.
Okay. What about economic development? Is that under planning and zoning?
Right now, it's falling under finance for the most part, or direct. We might want to add economic development.
Okay. Okay.
This sounds a little maybe nitpicky, but it says the town manager exercises direct supervision over all appointed staff. Is that true, or is it through indirect supervision?
Or read the bottom line on that.
And departments within the town.
Right.
So the top
So-
line says exercise direct supervision over the following departments, and then the bottom line is exercise indirect supervision over all appointed staff.
Because department heads have direct supervision.
Right.
Correct. Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And appointed staff are different than hired staff, or is appointed the wrong term here?
All staff are appointed. Hired, appointed. I think it's being used interchangeably.
Okay.
The difference is we have one in this building. We have one elected staff member,
Correct.
town clerk.
And so the manager has no authority over anyone who's elected.
Correct. So
Okay.
treasurer, town clerk, trustees of trust funds.
Okay.
So that I think that's where the difference between appointed and elected, not appointed and hired.
And then, so that begs the question of when commissions and committees are appointed, who has or is there supervision of that? I mean, they're answerable to the BOS.
Answerable to the BOS.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
But I think having been appointed to committees, I was recommended that then the town manager had ultimate say. When I was on the rec advisory board.
Shouldn't have.
No,
Should have been the
you would have come.
BOS.
You would have come to the
Or
board.
just been
You would have come to
Yeah.
the board for true appointment. You might have been recommended by the manager, but
Okay.
Yeah, but it should be BOS, yeah.
Right,
Okay.
but the town manager provides support to make sure they don't go outside the boundaries and make sure, they don't get the town in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
and that's usually the staff member that's appointed to the board to try and.
Okay. So the resident requirement must be new.
Residency requirement is questionable. Town council has told us they are no longer allowable even at the town manager level.
So that's why it says desired.
Well, and the desired was added the last time, or changed by the board in the last one. Shane was not a resident. And there's a really question as to what, I don't remember back then if it was a case of you could or couldn't. And it's always been an interesting discussion. You want them to be a resident, so they are suffering, enjoying the same benefits or sorrows that everybody else in town is. And so that when you're filling up your gas tank or you're at Shaw's, you can, hey, what's going on with Witcher Road? For the person that's working, it makes Shaw's a long trip to get a loaf of bread.
Right.
But there's that feeling of commitment to the community and everything else. The problem is you're most likely eliminating anybody from within an hour of here. Because they're probably not going to move. If they're settled and established already, they're probably not going to move. Now, you hire somebody from Iowa, and they come and they say, yeah, Newport's nice, but ooh, that's a nice house in Sunapee. That's when it gets ugly.
So, to that end, where is it written that we can no longer require residency for any employees? Or is it only for managers?
No, it is. There have been Supreme Court decisions saying that residency requirements are not legal. They've not been held up by the Supreme Court.
That was a research team thing. I couldn't recall.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Supreme Court has said that response time requirements are okay.
Aha.
You have to be able to get here within X.
But
number of
what's a manager's emergency response?
Only if they're the emergency manager. Yeah. Okay. So that's the difference.
Right.
And I think we say that, it's desired that by residing within the town, that's the best we can do.
The other question is it worth a residency bonus or a residency incentive? We're going to pay you $5,000 more to live in town
per year.
per year.
It's a good question. Maybe. Because the other factor we need to consider is where could they possibly live? Look at the housing stock. There is nothing to buy
Yeah.
or even rent.
Right.
So, it might have to be within a year of taking the job. The expectation is you'll move to Newport, and if you do, we'll give you a $5,000 bonus. If finding a place to live is impossible, I think we need to take that into consideration.
Or could say, or within a 45-mile radius or whatever you feel. 60 miles is not.
See, that's where the manager emergency response is a tough one to do. Because you've got if it's a water break, you've got a public works department that's going to respond to it. If it's a police emergency, you've got a police department.
Can
So
we come back to this one and
Yeah,
do
absolutely.
some research and find out what legally can we say?
Yep.
Yeah, and we might ask some of the other towns what they're putting in there.
Are we talking like a one-time bonus or a yearly stipend? Or?
Right.
Oh, I don't know. We'd have to think about that, Herb. Good. Yeah, it might be that your salary is X amount every year, as long as you live in town, and it's Y if you don't. That's a good point. But yeah, let's look and see what some of the others are saying in that, and along that line.
That is something that the collective community, that's what you're hearing people say.
Oh,
You
yeah.
need to live in town.
Yeah. And there is good reason not to, because your life is your life, and if you can't buy a loaf of bread, yeah. Okay. Under duties?
So many of these duties, some of these duties are statutory, not all.
The ones where they cite the first one
Right.
cites the RSA.
Right.
That's not in
Sitting on boards, that's a local decision. Econ, Chamber, the TIF district.
Yeah, so did the the past town manager sit on econ, or was there a
Yes.
designee?
You did for a while.
Sat.
Didn't we change that? though?
No, he was president. He was president for a while, but he sat on econ.
Okay. We still have a TIF district?
We still have a TIF district. They haven't met in. I don't think
years?
they met. I don't think they met while Hunter was here.
Okay.
So, but we do still until 2026. We still have a TIF district.
What is
Okay.
TIF?
Tax increment finance. I've never seen the second half. Tax increment finance. It's the Bald Mountain. So, share TIF district. You go in and say, okay, on day one, the value in the district is $100 million. That's what the tax increment is. And then you come in and you build a factory, and it's $120 million. That $20 million worth of value then gets reinvested back into the TIF district. It doesn't go to general taxation. And it's usually used to pay out, what you do is you'd say, okay, we're gonna put in water lines so we can bring in a new business. We're gonna put a bond out, and then the TIF district's gonna pay the bond as we go through. So it's just it's a financing mechanism to spur economic
growth. But it says et cetera, so what, we could define that if something else came along, we could say, and oh, by the way, you're doing this too.
Right. Right. Other duties assigned is always a good thing.
Other duties as assigned, exactly.
So I see the RSA 37.6, but do we want to outline the others? Like 37.3, 5 through 7? Because they're kind of expensive.
Yeah, or RSA 37 and attach the whole RSA.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've
Well,
got,
once you get the, yeah,
I mean, if you've got somebody coming from anywhere other than New Hampshire,
Yeah.
first, what's an RSA?
yeah.
Right.
But then we could attach it and it would just be there.
Right.
It does refer to those in the general description, 35, 3, 5, 6, 7. Just doesn't
Right.
spell them out.
But it might be
Good to
smart
have
of
them.
us to do that, and also to like write in there attached RSA 37, maybe like the last updated publishing or something.
Mhm.
So we always have to try back to it.
So the interesting thing about this is the only statutory date in the town manager law.
Huh.
And this is the provision, presentation of the recommended budget to the Board of Selectmen.
Right,
By law, that date is statutory.
right.
So I think that's why it was broken out.
Yeah, that
But
makes sense.
probably not bad to.
Except for the towns that are May towns, isn't that different? Oh,
No.
interesting. Well,
No,
that
it's
ought to
funny.
be fixed.
Well, talk to your local legislator.
And TIF doesn't have two Fs, it's only one.
I know. I cross it.
Okay, then this is really bizarre statement. Maintain and enhance an environment that encourages dialogue, communication, and transparency both from within government and between government and its citizens. Okay. Define that.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's out. Everything else in here
Out
speaks
or
to that.
reworded.
Well, I think I take it
That
out.
was one of the things that has been brought to my attention, that while the intent was good, the ability to communicate out was not.
I think maybe reworded, because you always want something about communication in a job description. Like they have to be able to communicate.
It's rife with communication in this document. But if you want to rework it, and we can take a look at
I think it's important to
it.
rework it and put something in, because it can then
Yeah.
become something that the BOS talks to the person about. This is in the job description,
Yeah.
and you're falling down on this, and we're going to send you to this training and that training and that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, no, it's in here already. It's full of good communication and
Oh.
working with the citizenry. I'm not saying we don't want it, I'm saying this is redundant. But if you want to rework it, we can always take a look at it.
I'll play around with that one.
Yeah. All right.
I have a question. I guess I'm skipping ahead, but it says end of job description, and then it has candidate demonstrates. Does the candidate see everything past end of job description? Or how does that work in the total document?
That's a good question. It would make sense that they probably would not.
Right?
Before we get there, can we just do those last three that are on that page and then get there?
Yeah, go.
So those last three bullets, everybody's cool with. Promote policies which encourage.
Yeah, local agriculture seems a bit odd, but we don't really have much local agriculture. I mean, local businesses would include agriculture, I would think, but
Right.
I mean, we are certainly not a farm community. We have farms, but,
Right.
and very good businesses that are farms, but
How about instead of local agriculture, draw attention to our local natural recreational opportunities in Newport?
Well, that's stated somewhere.
That's in here too, somewhere.
It is.
Yeah.
Just natural resources?
Natural resources and recreational opportunities. I think it's a fair part of the master plan.
No, we'll have to figure that out. I think this is a kind of silly thing. Be familiar with and recognize the importance of the master plan. Of course you have to be familiar with the master plan.
Right.
How would you not think it's important?
But I think it has to not leave any room for skepticism or for somebody to say, well, it wasn't in my job description. Because people do that. They'll say, oh, that wasn't in my job description. You can't punish me or...
Because in the job description, your last line is other duties and responsibilities as designated by the Board of Selectmen.
Right.
So it's open-ended.
So I didn't actually see anything that stated that in the job description.
Yeah,
Unless I
actually, we
missed
don't
it.
have that.
It's not in there.
Other duties as assigned.
Actually, you do, as modified by the Board of Selectmen in the very beginning.
Oh, in the early on.
Yeah. That's fine, if you want to leave it in. I can't imagine anybody doesn't recognize the importance of it, but I suppose if we hire somebody who doesn't, that's our fault.
Is the capital improvement plan part of the master plan?
Capital improvement's a separate plan.
It is a separate plan.
Yeah.
Should that be cited as well, or listed as well?
Yeah.
I would think so. And the capital improvement plan.
Yep. That's kind of a gray area right now, but yes.
Right. But it might breathe life into it.
Yeah.
If it's committed to paper.
Yep.
So in answer to Mallory's question, the candidate demonstrates would be our review criteria?
So,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I wonder what a relentlessly positive quality is.
So
One that gets on your nerves.
Yeah.
I think it would be a good idea. I've written many job descriptions to add some skills and knowledge and experience to the job description because right now it doesn't exist.
It's in the wrong place. But if you go to page 2
Okay.
of from where we are, so page 5, I guess, is experience
Yep.
and 5-year senior management
Right.
experience preferred. So maybe that should be brought up into the job description.
I think so.
That makes sense.
Well, that's certainly going to be part of the job description.
Yeah.
Experience.
Yeah, if we took the candidate demonstrates piece out, then the skills are certainly elucidated there, management experience, years of service, that sort of
Right.
thing. The other thing that's overused in this is effective. Effective, effectively, and effectively,
Mhm.
and effective, and effective.
Define.
Yeah, but based on who's deciding.
Can you just take the adverb out?
Yeah, I think we can take it out, and if there's something that needs to be in there instead of effective, we could find a better word.
Demonstrate skill.
Well, whatever, it's.
Just take the word out.
3,
Right,
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. And I don't
One
know.
finger left over.
Yeah. Ten times, so it would be 10. Yeah.
I noticed there was a lot of overlap with management and leadership skills. There's a lot of redundancies.
In
That could
the
probably
two.
get cleaned up,
Yeah.
leadership and the management.
They're different skills.
There are different skills, but there's a lot of repetitive language.
Mhm.
I think it could be consolidated a little bit more.
Yeah.
So we are saying, though, these last 2 pages should get moved up into the job description
I agree.
Yes, because they're part of the
criteria.
criteria for
Yeah.
selection. Exactly.
And the candidate should be aware of that criteria.
Absolutely.
Another thing that was missing that we might want to consider is like a physical requirements and environment section. Physical requirements and environment, and like a working environment section. Like, how much should they be able to lift? What is, do they sit all day?
They have to do stairs.
They have to be able to climb the stairs.
Yeah.
No, they cannot do that. That's
No, because it has to be ADA compliant.
True.
exactly.
But we can say they are expected to lift X amount of pounds, or
Yeah.
that they're required, they have to sit for, however,
This
frequent
is-
sitting.
That's what employees do. This is a management position.
But
I, as a
isn't this an
manager,
employee?
don't lift a pound.
I agree with that.
Which one?
You think the superintendent is told how much she can lift?
Well, what happens if he tries to lift, or she tries to lift an abundant amount of weight, and then there's a work comp claim? And there's like, well, I was
Are
never
you in
told.
HR?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I am.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
but I mean, I'm opening it for discussion. If
No,
it's
no.
not something that should be there, but if I were writing this, that's what I would add, is a physical environment requirement, or something like that.
You could comment the town manager is expected to be out among the various departments.
Yeah.
As part of it, their duties,
Yeah,
not just being in an office, but,
out and about.
And that's in
Yeah.
there.
It was
That's
in
in
there.
there too.
okay.
Yeah.
And, you've got some boilerplate stuff, like, we cover the fact there's no horrendous criminal record and all that stuff.
We have that on in here.
Okay. And
Um,
just getting about the driver's license.
We do have that in many of our line level job descriptions, the environment and those kinds. So we can certainly pull what we have for the other office.
But Herb just made a good point. Driver's license
Yeah, I was gonna get to that too, yeah.
Criminal background check.
and a criminal background check after we offer the job. We can't do it
Right.
before.
Correct.
But we can state they need to have a valid driver's license
Right,
up front, because the town manager doesn't get a driver.
right. And
The other thing that we do after hire is anyone with access to finances,
has to be bonded.
well, they have to be bonded, but we have them provide a credit report.
Really?
This
So I
position is
can't say
also-
yes or no to you, I'm going to hire you, but if I know you're in credit card debt, I'm going to watch cash around you.
Okay.
Isn't that in the RSA's?
No, it
I
says
didn't
that you
see
can't
it.
use it on hiring.
Paul,
Yeah, you
I'm
can't
going
make
back
a
to
hiring
the driver's
decision.
license. I don't know that they need to have it. Because, let's say they get DWI. It's not our responsibility. They need to still be able to do their job requirements, but they don't necessarily have to have that license.
they can hire their own
That's
driver.
true.
Right. I just don't want to pigeonhole us too much and then
I disagree with that.
Paul,
I've had a driver's license for 40 plus years, and I've never lost it.
how many
I've never
people
lost
do
mine,
that?
but that doesn't mean other
Oh,
people
yes.
in the
It's-
power
Over
don't.
that.
I'm sorry.
We need to add that.
You could say
Well,
preferred,
they
driver's
have-
license preferred.
I think, no, I think they have to have a driver's license
Yeah,
because they
How's
have
he
to
going to get to
be,
work?
yeah, they have
Not
to be
every
available
town
to
manager is
respond.
tax collector.
Other companies say reliable.
Of course, we used to have a police chief that did
How many times have I heard somebody say, "Oh, I can't come to work today because I couldn't find a ride"?
Well, it's an attendance
Old
issue.
long time.
If they can
It's a
fill
driver's
in-
license issue.
So, but relative to that conversation, we have in the past provided a car to the town manager.
No.
We haven't done it in a while.
I understand that. My point is, if they didn't have a driver's license, would they then expect some mode of transportation? Or if we consider giving them a town car or allowing them to use one of our gazillion cars that have to have a driver's license. So,
If we don't give them one, are they given a stipend for transportation?
It's negotiable.
It's
that's negotiated as
Yeah.
part of the contract.
yeah, previous.
Or
Did
incentive
not.
to live in town?
Exactly.
I don't know if Shane did or not. I did not. So, yeah,
She might have had a fixed amount per
an
month,
allowance.
but Hunter didn't.
Right.
want
All right.
So-
Well, we can,
Essential duties. Jeff just pointed out we need to add service tax collector.
I'm sorry?
Serve as tax collector.
Oh, back on page 2.
That's RSA 3716.
But that's
welcome.
May, correct?
I'm not sure.
Yeah. I think we should spell it out specifically as a real duty
Yeah.
to be the tax collector, and then they can designate that
Yeah, it's May. They can be voted.
to, what's her
Tax
name?
collector can vote.
No.
Tammy.
Tammy Llewellyn.
But she's a senior deputy.
Right,
So,
right.
the-
But I
the
mean, she
job-
does the work.
She does the work. He
It's like
signs
the head of the emergency management is so-and-so. You were it for a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just when the letter goes out saying you haven't paid your taxes, we're going to put a lien on your property, it's
Yeah.
the town
But
manager's signature on the bottom of that.
But to her point, if we put it in as a specific name duty, we could cite the RSA next to it.
14? 16?
16.
Okay.
Yeah. 5 years senior management, preferably in municipal government, or any equivalent combination of education and experience. So I have a bachelor's degree and I worked for 1 year. That's 5 years? I mean, I'm not so sure that, or any equivalent combination of education and experience is appropriate.
That's an out for the hiring.
A note for not hiring.
Well, no, it's an out for whoever's doing the hiring. They don't have a master's. No, any equivalent combination. So they were town manager somewhere for 30 years and never had a lick of education, but proven track record with long-term. Yep. So here's our out. It doesn't have to meet that criteria.
Then I would include, or 5 years equivalent combination of education and experience. I would put it, if we're going 5 years senior management, or 5 years equivalent combination of education and experience.
No, I don't. If I can't. I mean, you could have someone, okay, 4 years got his bachelor's or her bachelor's, 2 years got the master's. You know, never been outside of the academic environment. That's 6 years experience, right?
Right.
Well, that's what she's saying.
That's
You're
what I'm
the same thing.
saying.
Right. I wouldn't want a candidate that.
Precisely, and without putting 5 in here, I could come in with 1 year experience.
You're saying the same thing, Jeff.
Yeah,
Okay.
So where are you putting the 5?
After or.
after or 5 years equivalent combination. Or make it 6 years, or make it whatever. I mean, put a number.
I think it should be more than 5.
I'm good with that too.
I put 10.
I like it.
Oh.
I mean,
Oh,
if you're hiring for a high-level position in any corporation, they're going to want, I know this is a town
Credentials.
municipality.
Yeah,
Why set the bar low? I don't know.
yeah.
before committing, take a look and see what other towns have been doing and what level they've been able to find.
And we
candidates
can do that too
Yeah.
when we check on the other thing,
This
but
one,
I think you're
you
right.
know.
Bigger
I
is
guess
better.
Consider it.
Yeah.
But or I like the and. Replacing the or with and with X number.
Because then you're not going to
No, then that's 2. The or is you get either 1 or you get 2.
Oh, and put the number behind the or.
Right.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Correct, honey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you definitely want somebody else who has like real world experience out working with people.
Yeah. All right, we can look. I think that makes sense.
Does it make sense to add experience working with unions or working within union contracts?
Would be desired, yes.
Yeah, would be desired, yeah.
If we have two unions.
There's two unions,
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's a certain set of skills and knowledge.
yes.
Yeah, that's good, good catch. Somewhere in here, there's also, it already says negotiation skills, but
Yeah.
specifically
For
citing
unions.
that's a good call.
Yeah. There's
Okay.
certain laws around what you can
Oh.
do.
Yes,
There are-
indeed.
Because one thing a town manager does is negotiate with other government entities.
That's in there too.
Yeah,
It says it already, on, says
Yeah.
town and state and
Right.
federal level.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
There's also under experience, there was experience with economic development. Do we just want to leave that open-ended, or do we not want like a certain number of years of experience with economic development?
Where are you, huh?
The last page? At the top?
We added economic development, and you added economic development as one of the groups or departments, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
So certainly you, that's sort of
We
part
just
of,
like interchangeable with
that's
that.
part of town management now to
Right.
promote and understand the economic development. So it's certainly a criteria I would expect to see some discussion on within.
Right, is it, we're not saying, and we're not repeating recreation or fire and EMS in the
Right.
notes, so do we need to say it twice? No, you've already said it in the supervision of what he's supervising, we just added in economic development
Yeah.
already.
All right,
Yeah,
so
so we
take
need to
that
take that
out.
out.
Gotcha. Okay.
See if we can get this down to 2 pages.
Well, with small type.
I was gonna say,
And a spyglass.
Right?
margins and
The margins
Space
are
in between
extraordinarily narrow, like, we can
Yes.
widen that out.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and this could be one sentence with a semicolon, excellent
Right.
strategic planning
Right.
skills and well-developed negotiation skills, because they're somewhat similar. It is sort of a lofty written document. I'm sure it was. All right.
I think the intention is to use it as a filter, just to
Of what?
try to get.
Correct. Well, the job description is sacrosanct, but the
I think I
tech
read it all.
demonstrates our filters, yeah.
If you hit every one of those, you'd have found a unicorn.
Exactly.
Yeah, every one of those, why are you applying here?
I know.
Care to share with the group, Christie?
Yes, I
I just,
have.
Minnie's been doing this forever, she's listed in this
Oh, yeah.
2015 packet.
I thought you were in there too, weren't you?
No.
So is a master's degree, like, does that, let me form my sentence. How beneficial is it to the town to have somebody with a master's degree? And that's just my own knowledge.
It depends. Right now, there are very few undergrad degrees that focus on public administration.
Right.
Okay, so
Most-
it's more of the MBA.
Yeah, most people come through, you might come through as a police officer and then go for an MPA.
Right,
yeah.
Or you might come up as a fire instructor and then go for an MPA. So it's kind of a point that some would need.
They tend to head toward that,
Yeah.
that career path.
It
When
might
they get
also
that.
be, like, as someone who, when I originally was hired, had a bachelor's degree, but the school that I worked for paid for part of my master's degree, so it's an incentive to, but I had to stay X number of years after.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Also, if you're looking for someone with 10 years of experience, and if they're really committed to the field, they would have gone for that higher degree. We would have,
Right.
or at least
right.
have equivalent experience or certification.
Sure, yeah.
No. Okay,
Did you do my thing?
I know. Oh, there you go.
So these other two, do we want to take, and we're going to share these documents, I think,
Yeah, go through and see
rather
what
than
you
go
like.
through them tonight, like look at those and then.
And then,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the salary range you said you guys have to put in anyway, right?
Right.
then the other document was Primex's sort of review with the cast of 1,000, looking at characteristics that we hoped for.
Right.
Um,
And I think that resulted in the back end of the job description.
okay, okay.
Is Primex still around? Just curious.
Oh, yeah.
Our mix is, scheduling one of these probably would delay our timeline by,
And increase the costs.
Yes.
actually, they might do them for, I don't think they charged us for this.
Okay.
Yeah. They're a good service. And they realize that good hiring usually saves claims.
Right.
So,
Yes.
And these are really opinions that were gathered in that conversation. Some of the things that are in here are still potential issues. Certainly,
I had one question.
What
Yeah.
happens?
Apparently,
Yeah,
one of the issues that was brought up was combining the town's finances with the school's finances.
right,
Which, was that ever attempted or
Oh,
talked
yeah.
about? Or?
It was talked about
it
quite a lot.
was talked about, it was never formally implemented. I covered 3 or 4 times during
as the VA
vacancies.
for the school.
But it was never, there was a set hierarchy that would have been put in place. There were 2 actual proposals. One would be the finance director would be an employee of the school or the town, and then would be contracted out to the other. The other was actually a separate organization that wouldn't answer to the manager or would answer to a committee that included the manager and the superintendent, a board member from each board. And then a member of the budget committee. And it kind of, when you hire a manager, you don't know if they're going to come in and just spend, or if they're going to be frugal and not spend, so they
Right.
look good on saving the budget. So this kind of, that separate hierarchy, kind of almost sort of like an audit committee, saying this person's doing a good job or a bad job, but it wasn't the finance director or the BA answering to the manager, then coming back and saying, what are you saying about me? That stuff was never implemented, and thank God.
Well,
Felt to be too cumbersome? Or
Yeah.
The separate entity, it was felt was too cumbersome,
Right.
and why would we create another entity? We had just gotten rid of the SAU, why would we create another entity?
And at the time, there was a lot of, the school finance department needed a lot of work to bring it up to, you know,
And they are much better now.
yeah.
well, that's when the conversation ended. There was a strong desire to have a BA and then accounting clerks at each level. But then the district managed to hire a pretty strong BA and slowly got their house in order, so the urgency went away, and then this board didn't want to entertain that anymore because of the need that the town had as our opportunities for financial growth increased, i.e. more grants coming in, those kinds of things. So it was set aside. Should that situation change, if the town has an incompetent VA or the school district has one, that's open for discussion, because the functionality of the two was certain, with a few exceptions, are exactly the same. Personnel management, payroll, bills, accounts, grants.
Grant
Although grants can be a little tricky because school grants are very different from town grants. But purchasing, a lot of things that had common ground. They thought that they could perhaps have some efficiency by doing that, but then it sort of, as I said, waned because at the time, the school got a good BA.
So we do have the foundation there, but it's just in the
Right.
background.
You can also get
Yeah.
legislation that would allow that.
We did.
We did, yeah, we got legislation that would allow it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, anyway. All right.
When this premise was done, was this done with talking to the group, and then they drafted this document?
We had a big meeting at the communities
Yeah, Sugar
room,
Room.
and they did a charrette and took input from all the people who were there.
I was just a little amused at the overview, and number one, the first thing they say is no fighting.
That typically comes from having been on a bunch of search committees that are facilitated by organizations.
They set the ground rules.
Yeah. But this one just
No
spelled out
Marcus
those
or
ways.
Queensbury
Yeah.
rules, it's just
Yeah,
no
no,
fighting.
Marcus of Queenberry, no, but we did have to have a talking stick. If you didn't have the stick, you couldn't talk.
Ah,
Yeah, it was a good discussion. Unfortunately, a lot of the voices that we hear don't show up. I think certainly it will behoove us to invite some of the commentators on some of our social platforms that seem to think things are run amok, to have them help us with what is run amok. I'm perfectly willing to reach out to them and name them by name, because when you're on Facebook, it's a public domain. And if they really feel, as strongly as they feel, that everything is run amok, then maybe we're missing something, and there's a characteristic or an area that we should be more in tune with. I think we've got a nice broad cross-section of people who touch different aspects of the town, and hopefully when we get the staff input, we'll have some more boots on the ground. This is what it's like to be here, and this is what I expect from my boss, kind of thing. But I think we should embrace anyone who wants to send in an opinion or.
when I sat on the board, I would have to say 90% of the problems with comments on Facebook and such were because of misinformation.
Absolutely.
Or error information.
Absolutely.
And then it's twice as difficult to get them the correct information and get them to believe the correct information.
Right.
So I guess I have my doubts if you're going to be able to turn those people. But if you can even get him in here, I guess.
Well, I agree with you. I think at one point we might want to have an open forum for people to come and express their concerns. I agree with you. I don't think many people will come, but at least we could offer that opportunity. You get phone calls, I get phone calls, you'll get phone calls. People who know you, I suspect, will have an opinion. And a lot of people don't want to step up to their mouth. So
Keyboard warriors.
yeah, exactly. But I'm happy to convey stuff like Christy said. There was a concern about the last hiring of Shane. Blah 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 blah. I mean, I think if there's an accusation that we should take seriously, and if it isn't founded, then fine. But often the voices are not there. And
Are you kind of suggesting that at the end of these meetings, we bullet point what we can share out with everybody? Like, I think a big one is we can't require the person to live in the town.
correct.
So if we can say, this is what the committee talked about, and due to state law, we are not allowed to require that they live.
Right.
And that might just, then we can keep going back to that. When the naysayers and the keyboard warriors do their thing, we just keep repeating that.
Exactly.
So talking points that we can share out.
Yeah, the things that we have no control over. That's an excellent point. And that a lot of it is governed, as you appropriately brought, by an RSA. And anybody can look it up.
Oh, yeah.
And it says right here, this is these are the statutory requirements.
I think that's a good idea because I didn't know that was, up until I saw this, I
Right.
didn't know.
Exactly.
That was a requirement, and maybe many townspeople don't know that either. That there's 17 points to that RSA
Right,
we don't have control over.
right. Yeah, I
Good
think
point.
that, I know this is being broadcast, I assume we're taped.
Yes,
Broadcast or taped?
both.
Oh, both,
We
okay.
are, I'm sorry, yes, we are on live.
Okay.
That's good to know.
Yes,
Didn't know that.
Yeah, I was assuming that was the case.
yes.
So I think we did just say that, but I think on the, maybe we create a town manager search FAQ on the town's website, People want to know, can we require the person to live in town? No. RSA blah blah says blah blah blah. Or can we, I don't know. I mean, that's the big one. That's really the big one that people are yicking about. Just, this will be a rerun and people will hear it and talk about it and that's great. But that's a good point. I mean, we're kind of in a no place right now because we're just looking at the criteria, we're thinking about things, we've thought of some things, so.
You don't always hear everything either. If it's written as well, somebody could read it and not even, they could listen to the tape and not hear it.
Right.
If it's in writing, they might be able to read it.
Yeah. So anything about the Primex thing that we want to,
I would just be interested to see, and I haven't done this yet, go through and say, oh no, that one's done.
The critical issues part.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the critical issues?
the critical issues or the roadblocks.
Oh, sure.
I mean, I don't know if we have to do it tonight, but, yeah,
Well, yeah, I think one that looms large for me was current town procedures that may be hindering and or limiting economic growth as well as private development. I think that speaks to planning and zoning. So are our planning and zoning laws or our criteria preventing growth? And that's something the planning board, and as we do the master plan, we'll be taking a look at.
Right.
The other ones I just sort of had to laugh at, collaborating with Sullivan County, and that we had too high expectations for the role. I think we have to have high expectations for the role, but we're not looking for a saint. We're looking for a practical person. And I'm not really sure what role confusion and conflict between old versus new dynamics. That might be generational issues that at the time the newer voices in town were not perceived to be engaged. I don't know.
where are you been?
I'm on page 4 of the Primex piece. Under potential roadblocks, role confusion and the conflict between the old versus the new dynamics.
Partly that was also,
I numbered mine differently.
if you think about where we were coming out of, we had Dan for 27
Right.
years, followed by me, Dan Light, if you talk to some people, 4 years after that.
Right.
People were looking for a change. So I think that was probably part of that
Yeah.
old versus new discussion.
Yeah. And I think the essential behaviors are good. And I think the ideal candidate demonstrates things were okay.
I think as far as salary, we just did our salary review. Right?
Yeah, I don't know if the manager's position was included.
No, it wasn't.
And that's not on us. The only thing we just recommended is maybe a bonus if you live in town, with the caveat that you don't have to move right away because of housing issues.
Right.
But- All right?
So, we're not publicly sharing this document with the candidate, are we? Because it's not relevant
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Anymore?
Like I say, I think if you look at some of these bullet points, they ended
Yeah.
up in the ideal candidate
Job description.
consideration demonstrates.
Yeah.
So I saw this really neat document. I did some research today. Can't tell. The town of Hartford, Vermont, has this really amazing looking document about attracting somebody to their town. And I can send everybody the link, but it was just like, I don't know, 6 pages, had a job description, and it was really nice, and it had pictures of the town, and this is why you should come here, and this is what we're like. And I think having something like that might be really helpful to attract people here, because, I mean, who's going to just randomly visit Newport, New Hampshire and say this is a great, maybe some people, but I think we have to do something more to attract them.
That's in those documents I
Well,
shared too.
Yeah, it's in the profile, and obviously we
Yeah.
would do a much better slick and glossy piece.
Also, Hartford, Vermont has had 5 or 6 different town managers in the last 6 years.
Yeah.
Sure,
Since
but
Hunter came here.
the document itself was engaging from a candidate's perspective, because it's more than just a job description. It's
Right.
just-
It's brought them in, but something
Right.
sent them out.
Well, sure.
The
I hope that-
politics of the board has,
Yeah.
Well,
But half the struggle is just attracting the person who want to apply for the job. So
Yeah.
I think having a strong attraction document.
I think when we put the ad and people want a profile, there should be something up on the website like that they can download that has visuals and that has, not about the job, but about the community.
Who we are.
Who we are,
Yeah.
exactly.
Why we want to be here. Why we want to move here.
Yeah,
Um,
and the advantages.
Yep.
Proximity to this and that, and a first world-class medical center, and a blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
Does the
all the-
chamber must have some documents along those lines too.
That's a great question. I'm sure they do.
I would check with
Yeah.
Shannon
Yeah.
to see, because I believe they do. I think she's put some work into that.
Oh, I bet. And I'm sure there's like all kinds of great detail that we could just, pull from that,
Yeah.
that we already have from Bermuda the Wheel.
Yeah,
That would be really helpful.
yeah.
I think.
All right, so what's our takeaway? We read Christie's documents.
yeah,
Yes.
We're
read
gonna
through
think about a Google Drive. All these documents will be in the Google Drive.
Yep.
We'll get the password for us to all access it, those of us who are on the committee. And Joanne is our touchstone, or your secretary. Well, she's your secretary now, so, sorry.
Pick one.
Sorry.
You got 3.
Yeah, you got 3.
Okay. And
then
then
we'll
our
do-
next in-person meeting's on the 50th.
Yes, 6:30.
all right, thank you, everyone.
Anything else?
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff.